Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to the video where I rank every episode of Season 2 of Tales from the Crypt. A couple of small caveats before we start. Number one, this is purely my opinion. If you think that my opinion is abhorrently, appallingly, completely different and completely wrong from yours, that is absolutely fine. Just leave some comments down below and let me know either your ranking or at least some of your favourite episodes of the season, some of your least favourite episodes, or just like your thoughts on my ranking as a whole. Number two, I change my opinion a lot on these kind of things. So you ask me the same question or ask me to do the same ranking in a month's time. It might be a little bit different once I've had more time to kind of ruminate on the episodes and think a bit more about them. But this is how I feel right now. And finally, like, for me, although there were some episodes that were very clearly near the top, some episodes that were very clearly near the bottom, there's quite a bunch in the middle, like every time I do these rankings, that I find really hard to rank. What surprised me when I was doing these ranking, because what I tend to do is I get every episode title on a piece of paper, put them all out, and then start putting them into some sort of order. What surprised me is that even the couple of episodes that were right near the bottom for me, they were still enjoyable. There were still things I liked about them. There was no episode this season that I thought genuinely was just bad. But this season, there was none that I outright hated, but there are some that I liked more than others, so let's jump into the ranking. Okay, in 18th place, my least favourite episode of Season 2 is Television Terror. Now, like I said just before, there's no episode of the season that I don't like, so there's things in here that I still quite like. For example, I thought the ghost house, the haunted house was quite fun. I liked seeing it from the aspect of a news reporter going in, although he was awful. He was really difficult to watch, because it's fine having your main character in the episode being unlikable, but I just didn't take to him at all. He wasn't even fun to watch as an unlikable character. I just didn't like him. I didn't like how he spoke to women, how he treated people, and so I was just hoping that he died, which in the end he did. I think for me why it's at the bottom of the list is because there was no major end twist. So yeah, the ghosts were real, but I presume they were real from the start. I thought maybe they were going to go down a different route, that he was going to fake it, and then it turns out they were real all along. But with Tales from the Crypt, a staple of this TV show is that every episode usually ends with a big twist somehow, whether it's a supernatural twist, whether it's just something shocking that we've not learned before. Every episode normally ends with a twist. And this one for me didn't. Yeah, you could argue that the ghost being real was one, but like I just said, I thought that was going to happen anyway. The ghosts themselves weren't that exciting to watch. Some of the elements of the haunted house were creepy, but the ghosts weren't that good, except for the one with the chainsaw. But again, she was only in it right near the end. So the episode was okay, some good moments, but overall, I found it a little paint by numbers, a little straightforward for me. So that's for me why it's my least favourite episode of Season 2 of Tales from the Crypt. In 17th place, I've gone for The Sacrifice. Again, another episode that I enjoyed watching, so I'm probably going to say that for every episode, just to clarify that there's none of these that I hated. But The Sacrifice was just, it was quite slow. It was enjoyable, but it was quite a slow episode. It took quite a long time for things to happen. And I was surprised by some of the twists. The woman being behind it all and then helping the guy kind of kill himself a little bit was not what I expected. Or at least, she didn't help him kill himself, but she was happy that he did it, because she was behind a lot of the problems here. So whilst I enjoyed the episode and the characters were quite fun, it was quite slow and took a while to get going. And even when that conversation between people, it was like, I get it. It just moved a bit too slow for me. I don't have a lot of negative things to say about it, other than the fact that it was a slow pace to me, because it did have some good twists with the characters, and I enjoyed how it all started with planning to push a guy off a building, but it turned out someone else was behind it all. But I think the pace of the episode just let it down quite a lot for me, so that's why in 17th place I've gone for The Sacrifice. Okay, I think this is going to be quite controversial, but in 16th place I went for Crying Out Loud. Elements of this were really fun. Katie Sagal is a brilliant actress. I find her really entertaining to watch. And I like that she was like, I'm your banker, do you not recognise me? And some of the gore here was good, but I just struggled with the actual format of the episode, the actual everything else that happened. All the stuff with the club, with the rock band, with Iggy Pop. It felt like a lot of this was there for Iggy Pop to kind of sell a record, maybe, because there was more of him being on stage and performing than we really needed for the episode. It didn't enhance the episode at all. And the guy, the main character who we're meant to be following, who was stealing money from a charity, I didn't like that. I found his performance very strange. It was probably discussed, and it was a particular choice. The way he was like overacting with his eyebrows and his eyes, his facial expressions very like wild and crazy and over the top. It just didn't work for me. It's something that I didn't find that enjoyable. But the gore was really good, quite cringy to watch. And even like the visions in his head, the voice he was hearing was cool. It was an interesting take on what was happening with his mental health, but just all the stuff with the rock band and Iggy Pop just really took away from what could have been an interesting episode. Yeah, I didn't like his performance, but I understand why people do. It's probably very Tales from the Crypt, the zaniness. It was just a weird pace. I couldn't really get on board with it, but some of the twists were good, the gore was good, and the twist, he had that thing in his ear most of the time at the end was a really good twist, and I like that he finally got caught for what he did. But in 16th place for crying out loud. Alright, number 15, I went for Lower Berth. This episode is one that could have been really cool. If you said to me this episode is a Crypt Keeper origin story, I would have been well up for that. I would have thought that would have been really awesome. But I just couldn't, with this episode, get on board with it. I felt the fact that it was a Crypt Keeper origin story actually made it worse for me, which sounds really awful to say, but the carnival setting is cool. I'm always a fan of carnival episodes, and I like the fact that it was a two-headed person falling in love with his mummy. It was weird, don't get me wrong. But again, this was another episode where the pacing was a little strange, where we were focusing a lot on the people who worked at the carnival, and I get that was important. But I want to spend more time with, I can't remember the guy's name, the guy who had two heads, and him falling in love with the woman, like their relationship and how they ran away. That would have been cool to watch. I just wish for a Crypt Keeper origin story that had spent more time with the parents and spending time developing that. It felt a little bit like the fact that he was an origin story for him was tacked on at the end for the sake of a twist. There was no real reason why it should have been an origin story. It could have just been a cool, twisted love story about these two carnival acts that fall in love and run away and have a kid. Did it need to be the Crypt Keeper? No. It could have been a good twist, it just didn't work for me. But I enjoyed the carnival setting. I wish I spent more time with their relationship and just falling in love with these two characters. I thought that would have worked a lot better. Okay, in number 14, episode 3, Cutting Cards. This is an episode that had a lot of tension for me, and I was surprised because when I started watching the episode, I wasn't that invested in the storyline. These two card game people who play poker and kind of screw each other over and don't like the sight of each other, and it just wasn't all that exciting. But as the episode kind of progressed, the tension got more and more and more, and I was really invested in what was going to happen, particularly the scene when they did the Russian roulette with a gun. I was so tense that one of them was going to kill themselves, because Russian roulette scenes are always quite tense. You just never know what was going to happen. Now, it was quite of a weird twist of fate that none of them died, and the games got more and more stakes, and they were like chopping body parts off and stuff. So it ended up being really fun. But why I put this episode higher than I thought I initially would have done is because it did a really good job of increasing the tension. I like Lance Henriksen as an actor, but the tension throughout from about when they went outside to do the Russian roulette was palpable, and it increased and increased. When they were chopping fingers off, it was cool, and it had a really fun twist. So Cutting Cards started slow, but went really strong towards the end. So in 13th place, I chose My Brother's Keeper. This is a story about the twins who are conjoined and want to separate. I think when I watched it, I really enjoyed it, and I thought it would be high on my list. But upon reflection, it was just painful to watch a lot of this, because it was so apparent that the brothers needed to have the surgery and get away from each other, and that one guy was so toxic. That twin, I can't remember the names now. One was called Eddie, I think. Charlie, maybe. But there was one brother who was nice, one brother who was really toxic. To the point where he hired someone to seduce his brother, fall in love with him, have sex, whatever. And it was all a lie, just to get them to split up. I mean, it then annoyed me more that the guy who was the nice guy didn't want to have the surgery. And I was like, for God's sake, this guy is so dangerous to be attached to. For your physical and mental health, you need to have this surgery. And so I was just really frustrated watching it. There was a nice twist at the end when they had the surgery finally, and the one brother went away for murder, thinking that he could kill the guy, but they wouldn't put him down because they were attached, and one of them was innocent, so he was going to get away with it. Obviously, that didn't happen. And so that ending was cool, and it was fun to watch them as like trying to play off each other, because they couldn't do their own thing. Like one wanted to read, but the other one didn't. One wanted to go to the toilet, they had to go at the same time. All that was fun. It was just really frustrating to watch these characters make silly decisions. So whilst it was good and it was fun, I was frustrated through a lot of the episode, and that's why it's probably lower in the list than I thought it would be when I first watched it. Okay, next up in the list is The Ventriloquist's Dummy. This was definitely an episode of two halves for me. The first half of the episode, when we're following this guy who wants to be a ventriloquist, struggling to get his career off the ground, I didn't really care, I'm not going to lie. Whilst it was interesting to watch him start his career, be really bad, and try and follow in the path of someone that he looked up to in the same field, to be honest, it just didn't work. I found it quite boring. But the second half of the episode really stopped the episode from being a lot lower on this list, because it was really fun. When he took his ventriloquist dummy off and we saw what was really behind it, that was so fun and so cool. And twisted, grotesque, gruesome, and funny, because there was the little, obviously, twin brother that was on his hand. That was quite funny to listen to. He's like, rah, 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 rah. But then when he chopped his hand off, but he was like running around the place, it was so fun, and I really enjoyed that half, and I wish there was more of that in the episode, because the first half to me, personally, just didn't work. But I suppose at the same time, you have to have that introduction for the second half twist to work so well. I understand that. But I did find the first half really boring. When I was watching it, I was like, yeah, right, move on. I want a bit something different now. But the second half was really, really fun. I really stopped the episode from being lower on this list. In 11th place, I chose Fitting Punishment. Fitting Punishment got me angry. Really angry. Like, really angry that this kid was going through such trauma at the hands of this man. He was awful. He was really awful. But what kind of helped me get through it is that I knew that at the end, with the episode title being Fitting Punishment, I knew that they had to have this comeuppance at the end of the episode, that the boy had to get his own back. Now, I didn't realise he was going to die before he got there. That was really hard to watch. It was quite emotional for me because this kid his parents died and he was put in the family home with this person whose family but treats him so badly from start to finish of the episode. He treats him like crap. But it was interesting to watch, and all the way through you're like, right, when's he going to get his comeuppance? When's he going to get his comeuppance? When's he going to get his comeuppance? And you finally get that at the end when he comes back from the grave to get his revenge, and that was really cool to watch. Fun episode, dark episode, sad episode, but quite fun to watch overall. Okay, on to my top 10, and in 10th place I chose The Thing from the Grave. I enjoy watching Terry Hatcher as an actress. I think she's fun, so I was really excited to watch her in the show, and I thought it was a nice, sweet story. She was in an abusive relationship, met someone, they fell in love, the abusive boyfriend killed him, but then the other guy came back from the grave to save the day. Quite a simple story on the most part, but really fun, and I was really dumb when I watched it, because we saw the boyfriend die right at the very beginning. But when they kind of rewound time and started again, I didn't realise it was the same person, because I'm stupid. But it's a really simple story, a nice love story, and the fact that it was called The Thing from the Grave meant that you knew all the way throughout that when he died, that he was going to come back and at least get some sort of revenge for the girl and for himself. And I enjoyed the fact that he finally got his revenge, came back from the grave, like the episode before, Fitting Punishment, that I talked about. Both a very similar storyline. In abusive person kills good person, and the good person comes back from the grave for revenge. Very similar storylines now, I'll say it like that, but really fun as well. Really good episode of the show. In 9th place, the one that kicked off the season, Dead Right. This was good. This was about a girl who went to a fortune teller, and the fortune teller told her she was going to basically marry a really rich person. Or she was going to marry, and then she was going to become rich. The way they worded it was very specific, and I can't remember it now. You knew she was going to be right, but you didn't know how she was going to be right. So there was a twist along the way about how she got the money. Because she got married to him, discovered that he wasn't going to get loads of money, but then she won some money, tried to leave him, but then he killed her. It was really cool. It was really fun to watch because you were expecting the penny to drop. When's she going to get this money? What's going to happen with this guy? And even when she got the money, and she was saying to this guy, like, you're gross, you're disgusting, I hate waking up next to you. You're like, oh God, just shh, stop talking, get out. It was just really fun. I really enjoyed it. And I like the fact that the fortune teller from the start was telling the truth. We just didn't know how she was telling the truth. And it was really cool to watch it unfold throughout the episode. And the woman got what she deserved. She died. She was not a nice person. But we knew that from the very beginning. But this was really fun. That was the first episode of season 2 of Tales from the Crypt, Dead Right. In 8th place, the second episode of the season, The Switch, which revolved around an old man falling in love with a younger woman, kept going to this lab experiment to swap body parts with a younger person so that she would fall in love with him. Obviously, it didn't work out that way, as expected. But this was cool, really visually, stylistically cool, because all the stuff at the lab was very like, B-movie, Frankenstein's lair, Dr. Frankenstein's super spooky experiments. Did you know that it was just a really cool stylistic choice here? I enjoyed all that, and it was the weird choices of when he swapped body parts with the younger person. Visually, it was kind of creepy. Like when he had the new face, it was creepy. Like the shot when he had like the old man's body, no, the young man's body and the old person's legs. It was kind of weird to look at. And the girl frustrated me so much because it was obvious that she was not falling in love with him. He was just old and gullible and believed that she would. So the end twist was cool when she fell in love with the old person, who was the young person, all the body parts that he swapped with. But she loved him. He had all the money that he gave him to be young again. So it was a cool twist, as expected. Really enjoyed it. Frustrating to watch, but I had a really fun time with it. Really good stylistic choices here. Episode 2, The Switch. In 7th place, I chose 3 is a Crowd. This was cool. This episode kept me on the edge of my seat to find out what was really going on. It was obvious to me that maybe the fact that they were sleeping together was not going to be the way it would turn out to be, because that was too easy. But watching the guy's paranoia develop over the course of the episode, and how the people were doing things, the husband, the wife, and the friend were doing things that made him more paranoid without meaning to, but they were still a lot closer than I would have liked. But it was just cool waiting for this twist to drop. And even when we got the twist at the end, we found out that they weren't sleeping together. She was just pregnant, and they were sneaking around because she didn't know how to tell the guy. A little unbelievable, a few plot holes here and there, because they could see how much this guy was like torturing himself and drinking himself into like a depressive state almost. Well, then we found out that she was pregnant, and not just that, but he killed her. and then dragged her into a room not knowing that it was a party for like a, congratulations, she's pregnant. That was a really great end to the episode. But what I liked most about this episode was the twist at the end, and also just the paranoia throughout, because even I was getting a bit like, it's too obvious that they're sleeping together, but they are a little close. They are a little tactile together, and what is going on here? Who do we believe? Who's to blame? What's going on? I really enjoyed that episode. That was cool. Down to number 6, and it's 6th place for me. I went for Judy, You're Not Yourself Today. Really fun episode. Really fun. Now we're in the top 5-6 episodes. These are all brilliant episodes of the TV show, I thought. And Judy, You're Not Yourself Today was so weird, but really fun. And I enjoyed the performances throughout, because it was all styled very odd and unusual, and the character performances were very over the top. But it works because it was all played into that. Like with Collection Completed in Series 1, the fact that they chose to go so crazy works because it all was crazy. All the character personalities was weird, and the twists and the turns, and the witch that showed up with this crazy necklace and bright green lights, and it was just so good. And I don't have a ton to say other than the fact that this was really funny and charming almost, watching Carol Kane and her husband just be so unusual with each other, but it worked in the style of the episode. Really fun performances, really funny twists. I like how it ended. That was Judy, You're Not Yourself Today. Okay, top 5, and in 5th place I chose Foursided Triangle. Fair enough, I am biased because I love Patricia Arquette. I think she's a brilliant actress, and so as soon as I saw she was in this, I was like, I'm going to enjoy this. But I was also tense here, watching her within this family who are awful to her. They hit her, they abuse her, the guy is sexually trying to assault her. All that made it so that I was really excited to see how she gets out of this, hopefully, and how she was going to overcome these odds. And then she started to fall in love with the Scarecrow after like a brain injury, and it was kind of left up in the air, in my opinion. Did she help set up the fact that the guy died? Because she was falling in love with the Scarecrow, kind of like melting the Scarecrow. The guy, the creepy guy that was trying to assault her, took the place of the Scarecrow so that they could have sex or whatnot. But then the wife caught them, killed him. It was so weird because it all looked like it was all, she was like mentally unhinged. And I think a lot of that is right, and she is crazy because of the brain injury. But I still believe in the back of my mind that there's elements of it that she knew was going on, and she did it all so that the husband died, but she wasn't to blame for it, because then she got the keys and escaped. But she was clearly unhinged as well. There's some really interesting things to think about with the Scarecrow and her mental state, but it was fun, dark, really twisted, and quite disturbing to watch in parts, but still really enjoyable all the way throughout. That was Foursided Triangle. 4th place for me is Mute Witness to Murder. Again, another episode that got me really tense throughout. As soon as that doctor walked in that room and she saw that it was the guy that she just watched kill someone, I knew that he was going to find out. And just that minute or so scene when he was in the house talking to her, she realised it was him, and he went out to the balcony to see where it happened that she turned mute. Don't know what the phrase is. I can't really talk right now. And we knew that he could figure out that he was seen killing his wife. Oh my god, I was tense. I loved it. Really tense. And also this episode got me emotionally because she was innocent. Really innocent all the way throughout. And he not only tried to keep her quiet, he then locked her up in an insane asylum, kept her dosed up, twisted everything around, killed her husband in front of her. And just I felt really sorry for her. I really did. I felt like she deserved better. Glad she killed him at the end, but I still believe that she kind of had lost her mind a little bit through everything that she went through. But there was some really good tension here. I was genuinely fearful for her and rooting for her, and I had a really great time with Mute Witness to Murder. I hope you did too. I thought it was a really well crafted tension throughout, and really good episode. Yeah, really enjoyed it. Okay, finally got to my top 3. Let me know down below in the comments how much you disagree with me so far. But in 3rd place, that is 4 Scott. In 3rd place, I chose the finale of the season, The Secret. One of the things I loved about this episode was the twist was so crazy. Now, don't get me wrong, I guessed from the start that he was a werewolf. You could see that in the reaction, I guess that. But the fact that he was a werewolf that was adopted by vampires, they tried to kill him, but then he discovered he was a werewolf and killed them all. It was so crazy, so out of the blue, so over the top, and I love that about this show. And all the way throughout, I enjoyed the storyline. This kid in an orphanage who, whilst they probably wanted to be adopted, was scared to leave, especially when they showed up because they were clearly not right. And I enjoyed them going to the house, this big and lavish house, what was going on. There's clearly secrets about his parents. But then he got to his room and there was loads of toys there, and the butler was nice and he was getting cake. It was kind of toying with your emotions because you sense that something was wrong. But they started to kind of give you the whole, oh no, they're actually going to take care of him. They're going to do really good. But there's a secret with him. In the background, his parents are gone somewhere. We don't know why. He was disappearing in the middle of the night. What's going on with him? What's going on? And then we found out they're vampires. That was crazy. Really crazy. But really fun. And I like the whole, the vampires are going to kill him. We're going to feast on him tonight. But then he fought back, turned into a werewolf, killed them. And then at the end of the episode, he went back to the orphanage. I was like, something's going to change around here. It was so cool. It was so fun. I was really interested all the way through to see what this twist was going to be. What was the truth about his parents? Why was he disappearing in the middle of the night? Was I right that he was a werewolf? Yes. But yeah, it really kept me on the edge of my seat as to what was going to happen. And so for that reason, it came in third place for Series 2 of Tales from the Crypt. Okay, second place, my second favourite episode of the season, I chose Till Death. I thought this was so fantastic, so brilliant. I really enjoyed the performance, particularly by the wife who got killed, then came back as a zombie, like a skeleton. And I like the tribal, voodoo priestess thing with the ex-girlfriend who put the curse on him. And he was a really bad guy, but you knew his comeuppance was coming because the curse was on him. And then he killed the wife with a spell by accident because it's like a love spell because he wanted her money. I just thought it was great. I really enjoyed it, particularly more so after she came back from the dead. And she's like, woohoo, I'm home. Just like a really high-pitched voice that I cannot do because I am battling a cold, but also I have a deep voice. But her chasing him through the woods as a zombie, trying to make him fall in love with her, and even when she was in the house and he was keeping her hidden, I found myself having a really great time with this. I enjoyed every moment of it, and a good episode to me is one where the time just flies by. I don't look at the clock and go, all right, how long have we got left of this? I want to get this wrapped up. I just thoroughly had a brilliant, fantastic ride with this episode. I'm really excited to rewatch it actually because I thought it was so fun and enjoyed her coming back from the dead, getting her revenge and how he tried to hurt himself, but they wouldn't let him as part of the spell. Brilliant, brilliant episode of Tales from the Crypt. Okay, my number one episode of Season 2 of Tales from the Crypt. You probably guessed it if you watched my reactions, or if you're keeping track of the list, you know what's left, and that is Bennets Calamity. As soon as this announced that it was a meta episode about an artist who worked on the Tales from the Crypt comics, I knew I was going to have a great time, because I enjoy meta episodes of TV shows. But the second his wife showed up, Mildred, this episode went from 0 to 1,000 and instantly jumped into one of my favourite episodes of the show so far. I thought she was incredible. Incredible. The choices of outfits, the performance, the way she moved, the way she spoke. I thought she was so crazy. I thought she was brilliant. The actress deserved an Oscar for that. It was so fun. So fun, in fact, that I had to show my boyfriend the episode. Because, like, you need to watch this because you're going to love her. Because she's just mental and unhinged. And really enthralling to watch because you just didn't know what she was going to do, how she was going to act, how she was going to react to everything that he said. She was brilliant. I loved the storyline that the monsters were coming to life and how he teamed up with a cop because she realised with these crazy crimes that she saw that the Tales from the Crypt comics were coming to life. That was really cool. And how he used that to get revenge on his wife. And that monster at the end when it was his wife, but like in the big monster suit. God, that was so fun. Really fun. And I just, again, I like the Till Death episode. I had a great time. But where this one edges above it is the performances. Really memorable. The monsters were cool. Really cool design. And it was really laugh out loud funny. I laughed out loud watching it. I laughed out loud editing it. I laughed out loud when I watched it with my boyfriend. I just thought it was a really perfect episode of the show, and I can't explain how much I love Mildred and that monster that was like the Mildred monster. Genuinely my favourite episode of Season 2 of Tales from the Crypt. And that's my ranking of every episode of Season 2 of Tales from the Crypt. Let me know down below in the comments what you thought of my ranking. What different episodes would you put in your favourite? I am really interested when they do these rankings, that even if you don't want to do a full ranking, that's fine. But put some comments down below and let me know your favourite episodes and your least favourite episodes of the season. Because I'm really interested to know what you guys think of it and how much it differs from my rankings. I know my opinions are usually very different to a lot of people's. And so I always find it really, really fascinating to see your opinion as well. For now, that's the end of Series 2 of Tales from the Crypt. As always, my name is Scott. Hope you guys are well. Take care of yourselves and stay safe. If you enjoyed the video, leave some comments down below. Let me know your thoughts and your ranking. And if you're enjoying the series overall. Thanks for watching. Take care and hopefully see you all soon for the next episode of Tales from the Crypt. Bye guys. Take care.